Golf's no different from hockey. Requires talent, self-discipline.
Golf requires goofy pants and a fat ass. You should talk to my neighbor, the accountant, probably a great golfer, huge ass.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers? By height.
It's a very, very special honor.
I'm Paula Creamer, and you're listening.
Well, we're waiting.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, a.k.a. John Kreese from Cobra Kai, and you're listening to
Quiet, Please.
Let the word go out from here across the land. Let Daddy Noonan approve.
Hi, boys. Nice day for golf, ain't it? Quiet, please. Oh, you got secrets, eh?
Hey, this is Shooter McGavin. You're listening to the...
Hey, you guys. Hey, we're trying to have a podcast over here.
Indeed we are. And now on the tee, Quiet Please, the golf podcast. We're playing in threesomes, just like they'll be doing at Oakmont, teeing it up in a couple of days, being led off the box by none other than Matt Vogt, who is a caddy turned dentist, turned golfer, turned U.S. Open participant. How cool is that, Andy Heidorn?
That is pretty cool, and that's the dream of a lot of people who play this game, not at the highest level, but at that next level. And to be able to think about making it far enough through qualifying to get on that stage is a bucket list thing.
Christian, your thoughts?
Yeah, making his U.S. Open debut. I think he's, 34 years old for him. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a treat. And I think this week is going to be just a treat of golf to watch personally. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to really test out every player in this field. I think you can narrow it down to maybe 5 guys realistically who can win the golf tournament. I think it's just going to be a really fun tournament to watch overall. So
I'm really intrigued because I'm actually hearing from the pundits, the experts on TV, Randall, and others that and you're not hearing actually a lot of complaining but from the tour players because, hey, yeah, it's tough, but Andy, is it going to be carnage?
Well, here's the thing. Like for me, I think tough is great. I think unfair is different. Like I really felt like we talked about this quite a bit last week at the U.S. Women's Open at Erin Hills, that there was some unfairness mixed in there. And I'm not hearing any of that about Oakmont. I think it's going to be brutally hard. I mean, everybody's seen how difficult the rough is. But, you know, there is some sort of luck factor that comes into play when a course is set up unfair. And to be able to get past, you know, kind of those traps without getting caught isn't all skill. There's a lot of luck that goes into that. And I feel like while that was present at Erin Hills, I feel like I'm hearing that it's not really the case at Oakmont. It's going to be brutally hard, but I think it's going to be fair.
I mean, there's a lot of luck when you cane it up on your Sunday morning 4-ball, Christian, but I mean, this is obviously the U.S. Open. There's a lot of luck involved. I think one of the most notable things, and I want to talk about just components of the golf course, is something we mentioned that was not present for the ladies last week that is present is the ability to run the ball up. There's a video on out on X where Zach Blair putted it from 120 yards out onto the green.
On number 1, right?
I don't remember which hole it was on.
Yeah, 1 is just straight downhill, feeds right into the green. I saw guys literally just drop a ball, and it gets picking up speed, rolling down the fairway, and it gets on the front of the green.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Oakmont, though. That's the beauty of the U.S. Open.
It is.
I mean, that's what you can do. It's not just your normal golf tournament. I like when tour players can struggle on not struggle, it's not the right word, but like see them hit shots that you don't normally hit on a week-to-week basis. You know, I mean, look at number 8 this week. It's playing 300 yards. I saw every guy, Colin Morikawa, Scotty, they're hitting 3-wood driver into this hole. It's a great golf course.
Is that the hole the DJ drove last time around? I thought he drove for like 14 or something.
No, that was 17 is the drivable par 4.
Yeah.
But 8 is the 300-yard par 3.
Oh, yeah.
But
how can we forget the 300-yard par 3?
Yeah, to your point, Christian, there's a big run-up to that green, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's a really cool feature on a lot of those holes out there is that you basically feed the fairway right to the green. And
yeah, absolutely.
I
mean, it comes down to who drives the ball the straightest. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
these guys are all studs at putting and chipping. Obviously, we all know that. They're here for a reason. They're some of the best players in the world. It ultimately comes down to who has the most shots in the fairway, period. You know?
And
I think
frankly, that par 3, the 8th hole, it's like hitting the fairway. You know, if you're hitting 3-wood, you're hitting, you know, whatever club you're hitting there. If you're on another hole and you're going to hit that fairway, you're hitting the green. Yeah. It's kind of 100%. That type of shot. So it's
Andy, that's actually been one of the conversation points is that Gil Hans, I mean, Mr. Major, in his redesign, and I don't want to say complete redesign because Oakmont's still Oakmont, but he did widen some fairways in some spots to give players, Stephen K, who we've had on a number of times, talks about that all the way. The wider the fairways actually gives players a greater opportunity to strategize how they're going to come into a green. So, are you going to see more people actually hitting the fairways at the U.S. Open? And I have a follow-up to that, but go ahead.
I mean, I would love that. I think it's been a while since we've seen golf to be forced to be played like that. And as a kid growing up in the 80s watching US Opens religiously, it was like that's what it was like back then, you know. You guys went around those golf courses, and if you could hit fairways, you were okay. If you couldn't, then you were, you know, not really going to have much of a second shot.
Well, I think I remember a couple of years back, whether you like them or not, Brooks said it perfectly. You're playing against 20 guys, ultimately. I mean, you can pick out a group of, say, 15, 20 guys right now easily that could win this tournament. And, again, it comes down to driving accuracy for me, and it comes down to who can make some of the putts. I'll get into picks, obviously, later, I'm assuming. But, you know, there's 3 guys realistically that I think could really hoist this trophy this week, and I'll get into it later.
Well, you know what? I find it funny you talking about second shots, and I'm going to deviate, take a quick detour. The ShopRite was this week down in AC, and Donald Ross, classic shot, the second shot golf course, because of the undulation, the runoffs, and what have you. I personally have never had the pleasure of playing Oakmont. Andy, in your world travels, have you been there?
Twice.
You holding out on us?
No, I was there twice. I played it twice. Let me say I was there once and played it on successive days.
It's obvious.
My experience.
What event were you teeing it up in that apparently didn't make the third round?
It was not an event.
Okay.
You know, 2 things on that. Like, Oakmont is one of those courses very much like some of the British Open Rota courses or the Open Championship. Sorry for those people that got offended by that. But where they rely on guest fees, you know, to pay the bills. You know, you go over to some of the most exclusive clubs in the UK, you know, Troon and Birkdale and places like that. They're super private, super exclusive, but they have their 2 days a week where they let people like us go play their golf course, and it's all for the revenue that they take in. And Oakmont does that as well. Oakmont, I do have a couple friends who are members, and you know, they encourage every member to get as many guests there as possible. And there's a few days a week that they promote that, but it's definitely a big line item in their budget every year, and they expect to get a lot of guests.
That's true. That's similar yet different to a strategy I've used at private clubs before, which is have them come in as a member for a day. It's a great revenue item, helps drive improvements for the property, but also it's a mechanism to try to drive new memberships.
Sure. They don't need that, but
well, I never managed Oakmont, so
yeah. So my experience, getting back to that, playing Oakmont. So I get there, I'm running a little late, no time to warm up, no nothing. I hop on the course, and I didn't hit it great. I kind of like missed, like if you can see the third hole right here, like I missed the fairway to the right of those bunkers on the right, and I got a clean shot. And I did that a few times, and I shot 3 over the first time I saw it. Second day, I warmed up, I hit it better, but I was just a little off the fairway, and you get in the bunkers, and you can't really get the ball close to the green from the bunkers. So I shot like 81 the second time I played it and hit it better than I did the first time. So it's definitely a penal golf course when you get off the fairway.
I think it's always interesting when you look at like when they ask tour players, US Open week, what the average golfer of an 8, 10, 15 handicap would shoot. And they're always saying, oh, they're going to shoot 80s to 90s, 100s, 120, whatever that might be. And then the US Open actually, or the USGA actually retweeted something today on X, and it was saying how they should do that. Like Justin Thomas tweeted something, and it was about, putting somebody out there on a Monday, play the black tees the day after the US Open's done, get a group of people and just see what they would shoot. And I think that'd be kind of cool. See like what the average golfer would shoot.
I think I did see that. I think that would be tremendous if you did it for some type of charitable component to it, where you get the opportunity to play the next day, and whether it's 1, 2 players, whatever the case, throw the cameras on it. Full Swing could document that. That'd be fun.
Most majors do that anyway. They have some sort of event the Monday after.
Well, I know a lot of the media, obviously. I've seen the media guys, they're playing at Augusta the day after, but
one year when I was with Callaway, I played the TPC Sawgrass the Monday after with all the Sunday pins and like the baked out greens. Like it was nuts how hard it was.
You remember the Open that Ernie Els at Congressional? This would have been 94-ish, maybe.
Yeah, Monty blew it.
Right. Well, we had the chance to play it. It was like a week later, and the rough was still 4 inches high.
Yeah.
And I think I shot 78, if I recall correctly, and it was going to be the greatest round of my life. So what, I don't want to get ahead of the conversation, but I made a couple of statements, and I've been consistently saying this all day long. I think that if somebody's going under par, they're going to get no more than 3 under, but I think the winning score is above par. What say you, Christian?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that personally. I think if anything, if somebody were to go under par, I think it wouldn't be maybe 1 or 2 under. I think we'd see a replica of what happened at Oakmont back in 2016 with DJ being 4. I think that would be a kind of replica leaderboard, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't be shocked though in the slightest if it was over par. Even, I think, didn't Ben Griffin come on? I saw him on a podcast this week, and he was saying something that if I shot +4 for the 4 days, I would take that right now. And then you see what Rory's been saying. I mean, Rory shot 81 last week in a practice round. So it's a testament to everybody knows how hard Oakmont is.
Are we ready for that Rory part of the conversation? I think we should circle back on that one a little bit. Andy,
well, I'm just giving examples.
Well, I think it's that. We'll just leave that as a teaser. Andy, what you got?
Talking about the winning score or the
what's the number? What do you think the number is going to be?
So I think the winning score is going to be 2 under. I think, as always, somebody's going to go out there and shoot 4 or 5 under on a day. They're going to have a really good day. They're going to hit a bunch of fairways. They're going to get lucky when they miss fairway. There's going to be a couple of those rounds, I think. There always is. But being able to, and it seems like in majors like this, the 36-hole lead is never lower than, or never higher than the 36-hole lead is always going to be higher under par than the winning score.
The Dr. Gil Morgan -10 is probably
Yeah. It's just when Sunday is here and the pressure's turned up, and just one little like ounce of anxiety will make you shut the club face on a tee ball and you're in the rough instead of the fairway. And it doesn't take much to get off, you know. Once you're there, who knows what happens.
I found interesting McGinley. I was watching Golf Channel just before we started recording, and McGinley, I always like McGinley. I think he's a pretty insightful guy. They talked about, well, he and Brando were having their debate, and one of them is that rainfall. This is like the wettest, and I can attest to this because the Mid-Atlantic has gotten crushed with rain. It's been one of the wettest springs since like 1936. So the course is playing a little bit softer at the moment. McGinley then shifted and said, yeah, but what happens if it dries out over the next 4 days? Because some of these fairways even are basically like the greens where you're hitting the quadrants. You're hitting the quadrants on the fairways, and there's slopes and there's runoffs, and you can speak to that, Andy. But I mean, if they dry out, there is a little chance of rain in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, I believe. A little 5 and 10 mile an hour winds, so nothing significant. But thoughts, gentlemen?
No, I feel like there's so much talk about the golf course leading up to these events, and you know, we talk about events and venues, right? The venues are very much in the limelight of the U.S. Open and the PGA and the Open Championship too, because they're different every year, and there's a lot of guessing going on as to what's going to happen, based on the fact that, you know, this is Oakmont in 2025, and the last time they were there was a different Oakmont, and you know, you never know. So people love to guess about what the golf course is gonna give up, and I think that's part of the fun part about some of these majors.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I am getting old. Wasn't it Oakmont that Christian's favorite player botched it on the 18th hole? Phil Mickelson, that is.
That was Wingfoot.
Oh, that's Wingfoot. My bad. Who
Yeah,
botched
Wingfoot.
it? Who botched it on 18?
At Oakmont?
Well,
I don't know, but I do have a trivia question for everybody.
Oh, in honor of Boston Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fire away.
So, in U.S. Open history, there's been one player to enter the last round with the lead, shoot even par or better, and not win. Who is that player?
Can I answer it?
We'll answer later.
Okay.
Do you know the answer now?
No.
Okay.
Arnold Palmer.
It's a fair guess, but we'll circle back later on
Okay.
that.
Christian, you brought him up. You talked about him. He is a topic of conversation for the last couple weeks in the golf community, dissing his boy Jack, only to turn back around and tee it up at the RBC, the Canadian Open. What say you on Rory? What say anybody out there that's watching us right now? What's Rory going to do this week?
I think Rory's having a Masters hangover, personally. I think we've seen a really bad stretch of golf from him since the Masters, and I think that continues this week. And I think it ultimately just comes down to his driver. I think he's open about it. He's open about his struggles. He's talking about his struggles with the driver right now. And I think that if he doesn't hit fairways this week, I don't think he stands a chance. I mean, he's a player though that hits it so high and his balls land so soft on the green that he's able to, if he is able to generate that spin coming out of the fairway, that's going to be his big difference this week. And I mean, I'm also going to say the flat stick too. If Rory can make putts inside 5 feet or even 10 feet this week and hit fairways, it's going to be that's going to be his game right there. I think he misses the cut personally, ultimately from the driver. And I think we saw a really good part of that at the RBC last week, but that's my take on Rory this week personally.
Andy, do you concur?
Look, you guys know me well enough to know that I pick Rory for every major. And this is the first one where I'm having serious brake pressure being put on right now. Because I would not be surprised, Christian, if you're right, and he misses the cut. I mean, I haven't seen this sort of disengagement from him in a while. You know, I mean, it's pretty odd, and I think he put all his eggs in the basket of I'm going to prepare for this like I prepared for Augusta by not playing 2 weeks before, playing the week before, and then getting to Augusta. He's done the same thing this week, but you know, best laid plans, he totally laid an egg last week, and that's got to just absolutely destroy his preparation. Like he's got to feel like completely just freaking out about what's to expect this week. I mean, if you did it the other way, if you played 2 weeks ago at Memorial and took this week off, and then laid an egg at Memorial, yeah, you got time to grind it out and figure it out. But man, like that's not a good set of circumstances for him.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to it last year as well. Having a chance to win, not being able to close it out, losing to Bryson on 18, obviously. He missed I think he missed 2 putts inside 4 feet, 16 and 18 coming in. I just genuinely find it very hard to believe Rory making the cut this week. I hate to admit that because he's one of the best players in the world, right? But I'm never going to count Rory out of a tournament, just like I made that same mistake years ago counting Tiger out of a tournament. So you can never count him out. But, you know, I'm just trying to look at it from all the facts in front of me.
I don't want to get premature in our picks, but maybe we should start sliding these in here. I don't think he has a chance. I mean, I'd like to root for him. I don't, and even further, I'm not sure. They were flashing all kinds of stats, and I get it. Stats doesn't equate to actually performance on the golf course in these next 4 days. But I don't think anybody touches Scotty this week.
I disagree on that personally.
Ooh.
Obviously, he's the heavy favorite coming in, rightfully so. He's by far the best player in the world. It's not even a comparison. But again, it comes down to, in my opinion, it comes down to driving accuracy this week. And I'm not saying Scotty doesn't drive the ball accurate. That's not what I'm saying. I think for me, it comes down to that confidence, who hits the most shots from the fairway this week. That is ultimately, in my opinion, what it comes down to for me personally.
You know, there's going to be 3 or 4 of the best players in the world that have their game on this week. Mm-hmm. They're going to be, you know, hitting it down every fairway. So that's why we love the majors, right? I mean,
100%.
It's just so amped up and in the.
Well, I'm going out on a limb. I'm going to go Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, good limb.
The bold move.
I mean, I picked him in my pool this week. I picked Bryson. Rightfully. I mean, Bryson, in my opinion, the majors the last couple of years, he's been showing up nonstop. And in 2016, he finished tied for 15th, but he's a way better golfer nowadays than he was back in 16. So how do you bet against Bryson? He won last year. He's won in 2020. 2-time U.S. Open champ. It's hard to bet against him, obviously. So he was my pick with my buddies.
Because this is a completely different setup to Pinehurst.
Trey Fairway says upset alert, Sepp Straka for the W. But I mean that's a great example of the type of guy who could just quietly and slowly be kind of, plodding his way along and could easily see that happening.
You know what? He is a guy that's going to be probably playing from a lot of the fairways.
Yeah.
And with the open greens that run up, we're talking about the design again, all not contradictory to Aaron Hill's. Trey, you may be right. Followed it up with here. Let me pop this other comment up here on the screen. Leads the tour in GIRs. Good point, Andy.
They did put a stat up that I think the last 5 U.S. Open champs have led in GIRs, or maybe the last 5 at Oakmont, maybe it was led in GIR, with the exception of Cabrera, who was tied for 3rd in greens and regulation. So greens and regulation is a huge indicator of what happens at Oakmont. So Trey's betting with his brain here.
Yeah, I think another guy to keep your out for this week is Colin Morikawa. I think Colin drives the ball very well. He hits a lot of greens in regulation. He knows what it takes to obviously win a major. Winning the PGA and obviously the Open Championship. So I could easily see him winning this week. But you could also – I'm going to throw another name out there from a long shot standpoint that I like this week as well, is Tommy Fleetwood. Not saying he's going to win, just saying. All right, well, here's a better question. Do we see a repeat winner this week, or do we see a brand new first major champion this week?
A repeat U.S. Open champion or a repeat major champion?
We'll do a repeat major champion.
I'm leaning toward that.
Okay. All right, then. Does your answer stay the same for a repeat U.S. Open champion?
Not necessarily, because that narrows the field down quite a bit.
No, I know. It's kind of a loaded question, but
this is a hybrid of, I just popped over here. This is a hybrid of the various different betting sites. Scotty plus 260, Bryson plus 750, Rory plus 1200, Ron 1200, Xander plus 2200, Colin plus 2500, Ludwig plus 3,000, Joaquin plus 3,300, Tommy Fleetwood. Somebody else is thinking like you're thinking there, Mr. Christian Nizamis. 4,000, Justin Thomas 4,500, and here's one for you, Andy Heidorn. Shane Lowry plus 46.
Another good pick. Oakmont's not very long either. It's 7,200 yards. So in terms of length, that's fairly short these days compared to what they're playing on, most other U.S. Open courses. So someone like Shane Lowry or Sepp Straka, those are guys who do, they're not the longest guys, but they definitely hit a lot of good shots, hit it in play, hit a lot of greens.
Trey's firing another question, as we definitely don't see a repeat major winner. It's a first timer, was due for a major, or first timer we never saw coming. Ooh, Trey bringing the heat tonight. Matt Fitzpatrick or Wyndham Clark, someone like that.
I don't think either. Personally,
yeah, but
that's just me.
I think what he's saying there is
somebody of a caliber that's right there knocking and burst through at this venue. I think.
Yeah, and he was using those two guys as examples.
Yep.
Notice how we're not bringing up a past champion that's always seems to play well at a U.S. Open is Brooks Koepka.
Johnny Miller? No.
Haven't brought his name up once. I mean, I brought his name up earlier, but not in the context of.
I brought up John Rahm only because I was reading off the names of the betting line, but I don't see that happening either.
I don't think any.
Honestly, probably that would be the ideal time for this, Andy Hydorn. Let's clear this up real quick. Does a live guy win? Let's go on the record.
I think probably more than ever, there's as good a chance for a live guy winning as any other major that's been played in the last couple of years. And I know that Bryson won last year, and so there's been live guys that have won, but I definitely think that there's a bunch of live guys, not a bunch, there's a handful of live guys who are certainly going to be in the mix, and one of them is my dark horse for the week.
And Christian Azamis, is that going to be Phil Mickelson playing it over his shoulder and jarring it on social media?
No. Phil's missing the cut. Let's just be honest here. Same with
man.
DJ.
Come on.
Do I think a live golfer is going to win though? Yes.
Okay. So instead of hating, we're not hating on live. And Andy has some positive news. They just hired a new CEO that has a marketing background, correct?
A new president. Not
New
a
president.
CEO.
New
They
president.
do have their CEO in place, but they
Okay.
just hired a guy named Chris Heck. I think he worked for Aston Villa in the Premier League. And I'm sure he's been put in place to do some serious work on the marketing side and the promotion side. Because as we all know, there's not a lot of air underneath them for the last year or so. So maybe the guy does a couple things that change that. Who knows? But quietly they hired a pretty significant role at Live Golf last week.
Before we hit record, we jointly were all talking about the fact that the depression that's setting in, and again, Trey Fairway's chiming in on us here. I'm going to pop this one up because this is almost exactly what we said. No, the live guys are still depressed. They won't be getting huge signing bonuses anymore. They're all depressed.
Yep, not buying that, Trey.
I like Trey.
I bought your other shit, but I ain't buying that.
Bryce's contract's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nazamis was trying to break news earlier saying that Bryson's coming back.
It's always fun to talk about because I think for the game of golf, everybody wants him back on tour, right? I think if you ask the average golfer, everybody's going to want Bryson back on the PGA Tour, okay? But it hasn't really affected Bryson.
He's got some plans for the Crushers, Christian.
Hey, he's got a lot of plans.
I heard
for
him
the
say
Crushers.
it today. He
Yeah,
got some big plans for the Crushers.
it's just like Phil Mickelson's crushing his dreams of winning the U.S. Open this week. So all that fun stuff. But
He's a high flyer, Phil.
sorry, he's going to be high flying back to Arizona or California, wherever he's living now. So he should warm up the jet Thursday morning. Like if I was in Phil's position, I would warm up the jet Thursday morning and get it ready because Friday afternoon it's taken off out of Pennsylvania. So same goes for Dustin Johnson. When somebody asked him, what's the hardest course you ever played? Oh, this one.
The last one I played because I don't care about golf anymore.
Yeah, true. But what were we? You got me off track.
I'm sorry. I was chiming in on a response over on Instagram, but
Bryson's
did any of you guys see the photo shoot that DJ just did with Paulina?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you should. Pre-US Open photo shoot.
Nope, didn't see it. Is it worthy of a look up?
I mean, for a journalistic review purposes, you probably ought to give it a peruse.
But going back to Bryson real quick while Andy's looking that up, I think Bryson is going to renew his contract, obviously, with Liv, and they're going to pay him a ton of money to stay on that tour. But ever since Bryson went to Liv, we've talked about it for almost a year now. He's been the most relevant golfer on LIV since this whole thing started. Hasn't affected him at all, especially in the majors.
Hang on, I hate to interrupt, but Trey's got another one for you. Yeah, he looks miserable, but definitely wasn't his idea. You know what? Trey, I'm not gonna lie, my friend. It's hard to look miserable taking a photo.
We should get Trey in here right now.
We should.
Bring him in. I like Trey.
Dustin Johnson is he's checked out.
Yeah.
100% he's checked out. When I saw him at the PGA Championship, it was kind of embarrassing watching him just because he just doesn't give a shit. I'm sorry, but he doesn't. He's walking like slumping. He's popping half a can of dip in his mouth, and he just doesn't care. So
it's like he's driving the getaway car.
You know, in his defense, because we talked about like the Ian Poulters and Lee Westwoods and Graham McDowell's and Paul Casey's and those guys, you know, running over to LIV because they were in the twilight of their PGA Tour career and able to cash in. You know, good idea, right? Good for them. But Dustin's been around for a long time. Do you remember? I want to say it was the 2010 U.S. Open that Graham McDowell won. Like DJ blew that open.
Yep.
Like on the last day, DJ had a lead and he got to the third hole, that dogleg left over the gulch, and you know hooked it into the bad stuff and ended up making triple or something like that. But he's been around competing for a long time, so it's not like to me the biggest joke is Cam Smith, because he just gets on the main stage performing like a champ and he decides to do this. So I'll give Dustin a half of a pass for the fact that he was out there doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, it's crazy what money can obviously do for people. And look at the reigning USAM. He's going to LIV. He's playing with Bryson first round. And Xander.
Yeah, we're a broken record on this. It's the guys like now Neiman's being allowed to play in some things, but first of all, here's the thing: I don't think we get the Bryson we had today. I think LIV freed him up to be the Bryson he is, where he loves his YouTube videos and what have you. That was Bryson 2.0 that we had the last go around before he left. But I feel robbed as a Cam Smith golf fan. I feel robbed of his talent.
Why? Because he
has more hair than I do. Yes, Andy, he does have,
and he makes every putt he looks at.
Well, you know,
that's why
he's my brother in arms in that regard.
Yes, he is.
I'll play devil's advocate here. Like at the end of the day, did it really free up Bryson? Because Bryson, you know, I think in the beginning part it did, but if Bryson was on tour right now, he could play in any event he wanted to and still do his YouTube golf and stuff. He can play all the marquee events and still do his YouTube stuff still be.
But
dominant.
You know what? I think this has served him well, because if you look at the tournaments that he does play in on the major side, he shows up for everyone. Like everyone, he's in the mix. And does it really matter to him above and beyond the majors? Like does the Memorial or the, you know, Harbortown, you know, do any of those events matter to him? Probably not.
No.
So if he's able to do his thing on LIV with the Crushers, and then able to do his YouTube thing, and then able to perform in the majors, then I don't see why he wouldn't be happy. But I feel like he's unique in that dynamic where guys like John Rahm, it seems like he's you know kind of just getting his feet underneath him in some of these majors, and then boom, it's over. And he's got 4 times a year that he can do that, and it's just seemingly harder for some of the others than it is for Bryson.
So
definitely.
Are they the don't be that guy this week?
No, don't be that guy is Jason Day for wearing his ridiculous outfit today. For anybody who's seen it.
Look. Our Gen Z is all over. He's all over those.
Way. I love Jason Day's wardrobe. I'm not saying today in general. I'm saying like did
you see it today?
The American.
No.
Look, I'm all about America. I'm all about America.
Let me look it up really quick.
He's wearing long.
Hey, Christian, Trey's got your back here. I like the shorts.
I love Trey.
Yeah, Trey's losing status here.
What's
really
wrong
fast.
with the American flag shorts? I'd rock those all day long. I actually have a pair of American flag shorts.
So he's wearing the American flag shorts. He's wearing long white socks with white high tops. It's
that I don't like.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah, no,
Seriously?
that I don't. Yeah, I don't like the high socks and golf shoes. That's not me.
And then he's got a like a top on with a mid back logo on it.
You know, when we finally get together.
I'm gonna sound really bad, but the high socks with the shorts and what have you, that looked like straight off the LPGA tour.
I think when we finally get together, Andy, in golf, I think I know what I'm gonna wear now when I play against you. I'm gonna wear an American flag shorts, high white socks, and white golf shoes.
You know, if you're more than welcome to wear whatever you want. And if you think that my performance will be affected by how you look,
you may not get into the club that you're playing at. But
yeah, exactly.
Oh man!
And since I referenced we need to go there because we have a special shout out. I mentioned her 2 weeks ago when we had Pat Bradley on, and at that point in time, she had fired 7 under and sat as the first alternate for the Open, U.S. Women's Open at Erin Hills. Didn't make it in that field, but she played last week, Mr. Hydorn. Do the honors.
Yeah, Sam Wagner, first victory on the Epson Tour. Super, super happy for her and her family. Her dad, Chris, was on the bag. Mom
and brother watching on the live stream.
Yep. So definitely the beginning of great things we hope for Sam, and we hope we can get her to come on the show and talk a little bit about what her journey's been like. And no, Trey, we are not putting that comment up on the screen. That one's going to stay over there.
I'm keeping that one down.
I wish I could see it.
Yep.
All right, boys, hang on one second. Let me click this button over here, and boom, and Christian.
Final thoughts for me are it's gonna be one hell of a week at Oakmont. Can't wait to watch it. One of my favorite events to watch all season long, and I think it's just like I mentioned on the show, it's going to be a treat. So looking forward to Oakmont. Looking forward to getting together with the guys next week, as always, because I'm going to be around for a little bit. Traveling's done now. I get to go back finally to the East Coast, and I'm home for a few weeks straight, which is rare. So get to see the boys a little bit more frequently moving forward.
Nice. Mr. Hydorn, hang on. Do you want me to put real quick the Boston Bob brain teaser?
Yeah. So the answer. Does anybody have any?
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Phil.
Phil is not the answer. Alan.
I already said it was Arnie.
It is not Arnie. It is John Schlee.
Who?
The year John Schlee had the lead, the year that Johnny Miller shot 63-1. So,
okay,
know your history, boys.
I don't even know who that is. Was that before my time?
I have a putter in my garage, a John Schlee putter. So,
is that before my time?
Yeah, 1973. I don't think you were
way
born
before
then.
that was 20 years before my time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm gonna, as my final thought, singular final thought this week.
Get out of here.
I'm picking on, Mr. Smartest guy in the room again. So Bryson, I don't know if you guys saw his LA Golf equipment post on social media, but they showed a 5-iron and did a kind of a 360 spin around of his 5-iron, and it's got 18 degrees aloft on it. So my issue here with Bryson, again, being the smartest guy in the room all the time, he's got 7 clubs in his bag that he carries over 200 yards. Okay? 7 clubs. He's got gaps between his 4 and 5-iron and his 5 and 6-iron that are 14-yard gaps. And then you get to the bottom of his set, where as a 320-plus yard driver, he's hitting shots under 200 yards in a lot into some of these holes. And at the bottom of his set, he has not enough weapons down there, and he has gaps of 20-plus yards between clubs. So you tell me how that's smart, and you tell me how that's setting up your equipment. And he keeps blaming his
manufacturers
on equipment. Yep. And it just makes zero sense. I mean, if you're hitting it that far off the tee, you want as many clubs at the bottom of your set or the top end of your set, however you want to, kind of phrase it. But, to have 20-yard gaps between clubs there and your scoring clubs is just ridiculous.
Well, he's working the clock, man. He's working the clock. Yeah. My final thought is, and actually we forgot something real quick, but my final thought is Oakmont, great venue. Hogan up on my wall right behind. Final U.S. Open win, finished right there. Nicklaus's first major. Miller's 63. Dustin winning. Cabrera. It always brings something spectacular. So please find yourself a good chair, good couch, kick back, watch the Open Championship, and then get out to the area golf courses and play some golf, because we all need you to continue to support the golf business. Final thought, Christian. Who you got?
I got to go Bryson.
Andy?
I'm going Joaquin Niemann, and thank you to Trey for engaging. It's been fun.
Yeah, it has been absolutely 18 degrees. Sheesh, Brian. I know. Yeah, no doubt. Right, Trey. I said Scotty, but actually my dark horse really isn't a dark horse. I think Lowry's the guy that gets it done if on the back end. Dark horse, Christian?
Dark horse for me, Tommy Fleetwood.
Andy?
I think Niemann was my dark horse and my
Niemann's your dark horse. And there you go. All right. Prepare your thumbs. We'll be tweeting each other, I'm sure, Sunday afternoon.
Well, let's ask Trey who he's picking.
Oh, hey, Trey. You going to chime in? Who you got? We're waiting on Trey. Trey, who you got?
Scotty. I got a feeling he's going to pick Scotty.
He's not going to pick Scotty. That's the easy pick.
Maybe Phil? Dustin Johnson, maybe?
Oh, that's right. He already said. Yeah, he said that already.
Our bad.
Do you have a dark horse? Or is it Sepp going to get it done?
That was 27 seconds of dead show time.
It was 27 seconds.
Because we didn't listen.
You know what? I could edit that out on at least on the audio portion.
Yeah. Okay, boys. We'll leave Trey alone now.
We're gonna wait till Trey's gonna come back and tell us who his dark horse was when
we don't have that kind of time.
All right, boys. Till next week. Enjoy the U.S. Open. Dark horse Jason Day any day of the week with the shorts.
You only have one opportunity to sell your golf property. Shouldn't you partner with an expert that offers you 30-plus years of golf industry experience, combined with the reach of a global leader in real estate? Colliers International Golf Brokerage and Advisory Services understands your unique business needs. Whether it is brokerage, management, and consulting, be reassured that the market leader in the business of golf is providing you the real answers and practical solutions you deserve. Contact Golf Talk Live co-host and Colliers Golf Advisory Services member Alan Depew today at 717-554-8519. That's 717-554-8519.